So I need to talk about handling evil. Okay, I need to talk about oppression. Um, you know, needing to be certain about making accusations against people that would maybe otherwise be good. So some things that I need to talk about are the oppression that I need to talk about the oppression that I face, where it is coming from, or I suspect that it has come from and is coming from. Some of the topics, uh, like uh, like some of the oppressive tactics, and how I have to handle it. Okay, and then there are some things like if I make an accusation against an oppressor, I have to be certain. Okay, like if they're otherwise a good person, and I need to be certain of this accusation. Okay, so or if they otherwise might be a good person, so I'll start with that. I'll start with the accusations and like how that works. So you need to be certain when making an accusation. Okay, now it's different when you're making an accusation against somebody that you know is evil. And like I can talk about lying about evil people. Okay, the government does it. Okay, so it's different when you're lying about an evil person versus if you're making a false accusation or like an uncertain accusation against someone that otherwise might be a good person. So you need to be certain of an accusation. Now, certainty doesn't mean that you have to be able to articulate. Okay, we came from, we were once babies. We once didn't have the ability to use language, but we were still able to be certain of things, and we were still able to be certain that this is wrong, this is right, even though we didn't have the language developed. And like other animals, okay, they can still be certain of things even though they don't have a developed language. Okay, so if you just have a feeling, you could still be certain of the feeling even though you haven't articulated it. But or like if you remember something bad happened, okay, but you can't recall the exact evidence, you can't like articulate it exactly, but you're certain of the memory, you can act on that uncertainty. But you need to understand that your lovability, okay, your righteousness, you being hated versus you being loved, that's all on the line. Okay, this is an accusation we're talking about. Okay? So you need to be certain. Okay, whether it's a feeling or something that you have evidence, at the ready for, and an articulation and, logical support, like you have a responsibility to be 100% certain. There is no excuse. You are evil, absolutely evil, if you are wrong. It doesn't matter. There is no excuse. You have the utmost responsibility to be 100% certain about an accusation. No excuse. Doesn't matter what you were thinking. Okay, your accusations carry legal consequence. You have to be certain. Okay, people's lives are on the line. Their freedoms. So you need to allow me to be responsible and only join you in an accusation or make an accusation when I'm absolutely certain. Okay? Now I have a memory. I might forget things. Okay, I might get like traumatized by the threats and stuff. The threats against my life. And I might forget something. Okay, like I can't act unless I'm certain. So if I forgot something, I can't lie and say I forgot something to try to avoid it. That's evil. I'm talking about being honest. Okay, I actually forgot something. Okay, I need to be certain. So if I'm not certain, I have to take the position of the pacifist. I can't defend against it. Okay, like I can't like So people might try to scare me into forgetting something, like, try to traumatize me so much that I can't think and articulate and stuff. Okay, you're probably, you might be aware that, it's likely that people do that. If somebody's trying to barrage you with threats and accusations and trying to talk real fast and like crazy and loud and stuff, like, they might be trying to keep you from articulating and being, able to maintain memory and evidence. And so if it gets to a point where like I forget something, okay, I might not be able to carry out an accusation, and I might have to take a position of a pacifist until I can regain certainty. Okay, like, if I forget something but I do remember that I was certain, and like I trust that with my absolute soul, like my eternal well-being, okay, I'll act on it. But this is something serious. Everything's serious. So you need to excuse me if I forgot something. Okay, I'm not allowed to join anybody in their false accusations against good people. I'm not allowed to concede to evil. But if I forget something, and I might need to take the position of a pacifist to where I'm not joining either side, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember, I don't know right now, and there's a certain way I need to handle that. And you need to be respectful. Okay, you need to be appreciative. I'm not evil. I'm not joining evil. Okay? I'm not lying about it. Okay, I'm not purposefully trying to, I'm not being a coward. So there's one thing I wanted to mention to you, my memory and making accusations and needing certainty. And then if someone does mess up and they, like they start saying something that doesn't make sense, their accusation, like an evil person barrages somebody with threats and a fast-paced, elevated, hostile, like, style of communication, and then the other person winds up messing up their accusation, and it's like it's not coherent, and it would be evil, like, this evil person, like, threatened this person, and this person messed up. Yeah, like, this person did become evil. Like, they're saying things that are not logical, and they're talking about accusations that aren't, just. But like, that other like, who's worse? Okay, I want you to understand who's worse. Yeah, this person could become evil, but which one's worse? Okay, they would both be hated, both evil. Okay, that this person failed their responsibility, and they started saying things that, like, making accusations that aren't sensible. But who's worse? I'm pretty sure you should be able to understand that. I can talk more about that. But so yeah, I have a responsibility to be certain of my accusations. Okay, if I forget something, and I'm not certain of it, okay, I'm not able to act. I need to be able to retrieve evidence, like, sometimes, like if I'm not certain until I can remember the evidence and stuff, I have to be certain, okay? And you need to be patient with me and, be respectful and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about my memory and stuff, and how these accusations work, and the necessity of certainty. Now, the oppression that I have faced and am facing, and where it has come from and may be coming from. Now, again, I don't make accusations unless I'm certain. Okay, I'm absolutely certain that it has come from the government before. Okay, so places where I suspect it, has come from, and I could go back and try to retrieve evidence and, like, memorize exactly what happened so I can tell you with certainty. My immediate family. Okay, my community, like, the schools that I grew up going to and the colleges and, teammates of mine in sports and coaches and, um, okay, law enforcement, judges, prosecutors, um, religious oppression, okay, Christianity, whatever, um, prostitutes, um, okay, prostitutes with this ideology of, okay, a lot of them have this ideology of just rage bait and making threats and trying to get attention and making demands and, siding with any kind of nonsensical or threatening, accusation. And, they'll side with the racism, they'll side with the terrorism, they'll side with the religious oppression, they'll side with, like, they'll start saying an unattractive person is attractive, like whatever they think is going to cause, like, what they think is going to promote their threats and, them trying to demand ransom or whatever you would call it, and trying to rape. So, and that might be like the main cause of this stuff. Like, that might actually be like, if that could be addressed like directly, that might actually like be the most effective route, is addressing prostitution, like female prostitution. Okay, various forms. Okay, they could be prostituting themselves out for marriages, pregnancies, cash, objects, whatever, favors. Okay, when it comes to evil, evil tends to be committed by weak people. Okay, and that's the weak gender, like physically. So if you look at the demographic of crimes and stuff, a lot of it's like, impoverished people who would be physically weak. Okay, people from other nations that are like literally unhealthy and physically weak, and like, so them being the weak gender and also having this different position of reproductive manipulative capabilities, okay, it might be like the most prevalent and like damaging issue, okay, the prostitution. But I was talking about sources of oppression, okay, what I've faced. Okay, now look, I'm agnostic. Okay, there are a lot of religious terrorists out there that try to murder me. Okay? Okay, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, maybe even atheists and theists. Okay, like, they're, okay, maybe Freemasons. Okay, they would be on the theist side. So, like, maybe other religions, but like, it happens a lot, and they come from my life. Okay, and I can go into an explanation about that, but agnostics, from what I saw, are 6% of the U.S. population, and then amongst that 6%, there are probably a lot of nihilists and just like savages and, depraved people, and, like these like cynical people or something. Like, I'm not like that. Okay, I believe in objective morality. I believe in love and fairness, sacrifice. Okay. So the groups that I mentioned, okay, where I suspect oppression has come from, okay, I can go back and try to retrieve evidence and stuff. My immediate family, parents, grandparents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, Okay, my immediate family, my community, okay, the community government, the schools, the administration in the schools, the staff, the students, okay, the sports, the like, okay, the government going all the way up, okay, the president himself, okay, past presidents, okay, foreign entities. Like, do you understand the scope of this? Do you understand what I represent? So I remember I was talking about suspicions. I can go back and look for the evidence and actually expose things and make accusations with certainty as a responsible man. Okay? But I am talking about murder. Like, I am talking about people trying to take my freedom, coming for my life, making threats towards me. Now, I want you to understand that sometimes the way that I have to react to this is doing something like putting my head on the floor and, like, or like maybe my eyes go in two different directions, or like maybe I don't speak. Okay, I don't ever join evil. I don't ever concede to evil. I don't ever say evil people are good. I don't ever say whatever they did that was evil is good. Okay, I don't say that I trust evil people. I don't, I don't do those things. I don't make false accusations against good people ever. Okay, I'll die for these things. Okay, this is love that I'm talking about. This is my eternal well-being. Like, this is like, okay, this is the only way to enjoy life, is to actually be willing to sacrifice. Okay, like, this is it. Okay, this is what I stand for, is love. I don't do these things. I'll die for this. Okay, it's the only logical thing to do. And I don't make false accusations against good people, against their character. Okay, I don't do that. Okay, about anything about them. Like, I don't make false accusations about them. If they say something true, like, this is unhealthy, I'm not going to make a false accusation. Okay, that's like, I'm not going to defame them. I'm not going to commit a crime against them. Like, I'm not going to make a false accusation against them. But if I need to put my head down on the floor, or spread my eyes out like a chameleon, or not speak, okay, I might have to do that. If somebody has a gun to my head, or like a billion guns to my head, or like nuclear bombs, pointed at me, I might have to not speak. Okay, and I'm allowed to. This is about survival. Like, don't be disappointed in me. Don't act like I'm a coward. Okay, I do a lot. I do a lot to fight evil. Okay, I am powerful. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not making an accusation against you. I'm not acting like they're doing something okay. I'm just not able to speak all the time. If the Russians are doing something crazy, I'm not marching up to Moscow. Like, if the Chinese are doing something crazy, I'm I might, if it's wise and safe and, the safest option. But when it comes to marching up to Moscow and Beijing or whatever, or like Iran, or, the British monarchy or something, like, I might. But if I don't, because it was a safety concern, okay, I'm not condoning them. I'm not like joining them in their evil, in their hostility. Okay, you have to understand this. I am trying. Okay, I never give up the idea of I need to try to fight evil. It's just like sometimes I need to be quiet. Okay, I need to look down. Now, I treat people fairly, treat others how I want to be treated. Okay, I have the same expectations for you as I do for myself. So if you're walking around with your head down and you have to be quiet, I understand. There's a difference between doing that and actually saying, things that are in agreement with their evil. Like, there's a difference. So don't be mean to me. Don't act like I'm a coward if I'm going around looking at the floor. Okay? I am trying. And obviously, I do speak up. I'm doing it now.